Good evening, gentlemen. It falls to me as an honor and a privilege to make the toast to absent friends. Before I do that, I don't understand some things. I never went to school like this. It was very different. Amanzimtoti High was an interesting place. You learned how to shiver a guy in the showers. Grand Theft Auto. Breaking and entering 101. I did quite well at that, actually. And I've never returned to that school since I left. I have no ill feeling towards the school. It did right by me. But I don't understand. If you think you spent 5 years of your life, unless you're Paul Anthony, which was 6, but 5 years of your life at high school. It's 5 years. You've got a gentleman sitting here who's into his 90s. Just 5 years. And yet here you sit. Why? It just didn't make sense to me. But 25 years ago, I was offered a job. And I took it. I knew there was Pretoria. I knew it was inland from the coast. I didn't know much else about it. And I drove into the school and I thought, oh, it's a castle. You know, I'd heard about schools like this, but I'd never been to one. And I thought, well, okay, it's a big deal. It's a fancy place. People wear gowns. It's a bit odd. I got lost a lot. But I still couldn't understand it, this passion that people had for this place. It made no sense to me. And within, I would say, 6 to 7 months, I'd fallen in love. I'd fallen in love with the school. And for 25 years, I've been doing this job. I've been teaching. I haven't had, all those days haven't all been good days. I've had bad days. I've dealt with a lot of naughty kids. But there's something special. There's something special about this place. There's some invisible threads that bind you all together, the oldest of you and the youngest of you. I never went to Pretoria Boys High School, but I really, really wish I had have. It's a special place. I'm completely biased, but Boys High is not a good school, it's a great school. And you gentlemen that attended this school were privileged to do so. And not just because of the grounds and the buildings and the funny stories that you tell, but because of the brotherhood that you have forged, because of those ties that hold you together, young and old, regardless of your race, color, creed, whatever else it is. There's something special about this place. I fell in love with it, and I am privileged to have taught here for the years I've taught. I'm privileged to have interacted with the boys and the old boys that have passed through my classroom that I've coached. I'm privileged to watch young men become men, real men, proper men, the men this country needs. And I'm proud to be a master at this school. And I trust that I always will be. So from me, firstly, I'm going to read some apologies. The first one's from Mr. Schroeder, who's obviously a life vice president. He is at home and he is on the mend at long last. Mr. Elwin van Aartweg, again a life vice president. Mr. Tony Reeler, former headmaster. Mr. Robin Shawnee, legendary schoolmaster Chalky Somerville. Ed Mayer, another life vice president. Graham Hearn, Gavin Beckwith, Mike Housden, who's our director of sport. Mark Kingan, who's chairman of the governing body. Colin Dovey from the class of 1955. Rod Stewart, I thought he was a singer, life vice president. Didn't know he came to Boys High. If he'd come here, I'd have made him cut his hair. Earl Moorhouse, the class of 1962. Gordon Hay, life vice president. Alan Flach, 1971. And Chris Irons, life vice president. Then sadly, I need to read the list of those that have passed since the last Old Boys dinner. Johan Gerrit Niekamp, class of 1956. Stephen Graham Apple, class of 1944. Richard John Stewart Turk, class of 1959. Peter John Duminy, class of 1948. Piers Ruud, class of 1949. Christopher Kleinhans, class of 1984. Paul Kenneth Osborne, class of 1969. He's a Boys High Old Boy and staff member and was curator of the museum from March 2018 to December 2020. David Clatworthy, class of 1977. Peter Lance Lumsden, class of 1974. Jeremy Thorpe, class of 1972. Percy Edward Younker, class of 1959. Keith Gordon Ingram, class of 1961. Peter Chenny Moatse, class of 2007. Tumalang Tando Tumi Razaroka, class of 2004. Anthony Beaumont Tony Tasker, class of 1957. Edgar William Bulling, class of 1952. Nigel Patrick David Argue, class of 1950. Kevin Kruger, class of 1966. Henry Richard Alexander Pankhurst, Alec Brooks, class of 1969. Joseph Halil Factor, class of 1965. Bill Moody, class of 1964. Walter Kapas, class of 1961. Alan Roger Kellenborn, class of 1957. Patrick Quinn, class of 1962. Jaden William Kelly, an honorary lice member and a PBHS master, a good man and a fine master, who passed away recently. Gentlemen, I ask you just for a moment of silence, bow your heads, so we can remember these gentlemen. Thank you. They are gone, but not forgotten. If I can ask you gentlemen to rise, and please raise your glasses. Thank you. A toast to absent friends. Gentlemen, cheers. It's actually mine. Thank you, gentlemen.